Welcome to Founders Future, a podcast powered by Closers.io, where we dive into the journeys of innovative entrepreneurs and explore the road ahead for them and their companies. I'm your host, Jae Encarnacion, and in each episode, we uncover the stories behind impactful ventures, the challenges faced along the way, and the strategies driving their future growth. Today, we are thrilled to have Steve Pirt, the co-founder and CEO of FlexWerk Fitness. Steve brings a fascinating mix of expertise in the fitness industry with over 24 years of experience from personal training and club management to national franchise operations at UFC Gym and a passion for empowering independent fitness professionals through innovative, tech-driven private spaces. Based in Carmel, Indiana, FlexWerk Fitness, founded in 2021, is revolutionizing the fitness landscape as the Airbnb of fitness by offering private, premium flex spaces with pay-as-you-go reservations via a mobile app, helping trainers become entrepreneurs without high overheads. We'll be exploring his founding story, how his business addresses industry pain points like post-COVID shifts and trainer autonomy, and his vision for scaling this disruptive venture. With that being said, let's jump right into it. Steve, welcome to Founders Future.
Jay, I got to get you on the payroll. That was fantastic.
Well, I mean, an incredible background that you do have, and an honor and a pleasure to have you on the show. I mean, super exciting stuff that you have here. So, looking forward to diving in for our listeners. So,
Great.
if you can start at the top for us, at the beginning, talk to us about the specific problem in the fitness industry landscape that inspired you to start FlexWerk Fitness.
Sure. Yeah, it was just an observation I had over my entire breadth of my career starting in 2000, working as a trainer all the way through, as you explained, I guess, a brief bio. I was always just curious. I was taught par Qs. I was taught how to assess, ask questions, don't assume, and just be observant. It probably didn't hurt that I grew up in the shadow of Silicon Valley in the Bay Area. I saw story after story of men and women who said, hey, wait a second, we hear a big pain point, and if it's big enough, and deep enough, and the pain is hot enough, there might be an opportunity to create a big business around it. And that was, I think, my epiphany around 2017, where just after a couple 100,000 conversations of club operators, fitness professionals, we call them fitness professionals here. That's not, I would say, a term that's still common knowledge, but trainers, coaches, anyone who's in the wellness space who has paying clientele that needs space and equipment and the business model to succeed. We talk about fitness professionals because I think it's not a highlighted feature enough. People usually come into this industry as employees. And that was the other thing I saw. I saw, wow, essentially, if you get a degree or a cert coming out of school, the really only course of possibility to have a career or even just a job is to be an employee of someone else. I guess the other opportunity was for you to magically put together a business plan, get a loan or capital, build a gym, figure all that out, run a business, like improbable and impossible. And so I just kept seeing data, and my career mostly became, as I got more seasoned, a problem solver via efficiency. I found that things were a little too fat, or systems were over bloated, or they weren't implemented at all. And I found that the trainers in the clubs were usually the engine that drove the success or the failure.
Absolutely.
It was the sexy part or it was the dead part.
Yeah.
It wasn't the sales team. It wasn't the ops team, clean, friendly, well-maintained, all these aspects that we talk about that are essential. But once you get past that, people came and went because of the coaches or the trainers or right, and the relationships and the high fives and obviously the results.
Yeah.
But I found that the systems, the policies, the processes were, for the most part, generally speaking, there's some organizations that do a great job, but the infrastructure wasn't really built there to support them. They were like this, oh, by the way, put into it. It was always draft and dues and mainline membership sales. And I found that a lot of the owner operator executives, as I climbed, actually didn't really have fitness backgrounds. That was surprising to me. They came from retail, they came from Circuit City, they came from Home Depot, they came from other places that had good leadership and good communication. But I call it the eighth grade dance because they didn't have the confidence to speak to these very specialized fitness professionals. They ignored each other, pulled people into meetings, and certain KPI conversations were about sales metrics when really we should be talking about session service and frequency and result orientated, client orientated aspects, because that's what these coaches were passionate about. And so I just spent a lot of time doing that. But I found over time, wow, most of these people were trying to be their own boss. They were
Mm,
training under the table or working multiple different places and were just to survive. And the churn was really high.
yeah.
I thought, wow, like if everyone seems to have the same issue, we should be able to solve for this. And I just started asking around, talking to people who are capable, talking to people who had vast resources, people who had been very successful in fitness. And I always got a thumbs up and good idea, Steve. We just keep doing what we're doing.
Yeah.
We make our money from what we make. And it's our turn now. We've inherited the Golds or the LA Fitness or the Lifetime or the 24 hour. It's our time to now to be the execs and let's not bump that. And it just kept burning and burning in me, Jay. And then finally one day I woke up and it was 2019. I was at UFC. It was amazing. Great platform, great place to work, amazing people. Very grateful for that platform. But I just was like, wow, I got to either do this and answer the calling that's in my heart, or I just got to put it down and forget it. And this is my career path. And I chose some say the harder, I don't know, but the path that said I'm going to forge my own vision. And that vision is to enable fitness professionals like you so eloquently put to become their best. And it was really simple. They needed the right space, ideal optimized space, like you see behind you, equipment that makes sense for them to master their craft and work ideally with their clientele. And then a business model that allows them to come and go as they needed versus the rents or the leases or the obligations. Because training studios isn't new. That's been
Right.
around since the 70s. But what is different about what we're doing is this is literally, you said the Uber, I love that. But we're more of I say we're a mixture of WeWork, co-working space, and salon suites. So we are much more of a co-working space for fitness professionals than we are obviously your standardized gym. So hopefully that was concise enough, but with enough context for you to understand. But this thing had just been eating at me, and it was just data kept hitting me in it was every company I went to solve the problems of greater profitability, maximum efficiency, better engagement. Everything kept leading to the same spot.
Yeah, incredible. And the fact of the matter that you're able to bring all that together with just the passion that was burning inside you. I think that's the beauty of being a founder. It's just going to keep on eating at you until you capitalize, make it come to fruition, and look at the success that you're seeing here. So I definitely want to get into the nuts and bolts of what
Yeah,
you're doing with FlexWork, especially for our
sure.
listeners here who are other founders and entrepreneurs, really getting understanding of what the core offer is. So you have the hourly flex space reservations via your app. You do some franchise modeling. What are all your core services that you offer to your clients when they come and work with you? And obviously, the ideal client is fitness trainers, coaches, anyone in the health and wellness space that has
Sure.
clients. So, walk us through the offer a bit there.
Yeah, it's taken some time to simplify it, which is ultimately, I say, one of the most difficult things about
Yes.
creating something completely from scratch. We are the first mover in this space in the world. And it's exciting, but at the same time, it causes a lot of pause. And when you cause your customers to pause, even though it's towards something good, their apprehension to buy goes higher. Being able to say this even exists in the first place is our number one problem. Then making sure people understand who it's for and then why. So we have this tertiary kind of mission, and that's been our hardest challenge in the first 2.5 years of obviously our existence. And now that we have reputation and data and metrics and customer success stories versus just PowerPoint presentations, and it's a great idea, it's very different. But here's our core offering. You're in our headquarters here in Carmel, Indiana. We moved from Newport Beach, California, by the way, to
Yeah.
here for the data analysis. We knew we had to get out of there. It was a
Yeah.
hot mess. It was going to be too
Smart move.
expensive to build a company.
Yeah.
There's a lot of reasons, but my wife and I are born and raised in Cali. We're West Coast, but because that's what people always ask. Indiana, what in the
Yeah.
what? Yeah, my wife's Hawaiian Filipina, so it's just going. Is there any of me out there? There's five, but it's been good. It's definitely a regressive market. And that was my thing. Again, I'm a big fan of Thiel and Bezos and others who have built, and I read time and time again, you've got to create a beachhead first. Don't go against the big guys. And so if I would have stayed in Newport Beach, that's the number one market in the world for what we do.
Yeah.
It was like, in my opinion, opening up a search engine company across the street from Google. Like from day one, we would have been swallowed up, let alone it would have probably been a 3x cost. And COVID, I was like, I'm reading the tea leaves here. I don't know when California is going to open back up.
Right.
So there was just a lot of different factors that brought us to here. And so our core offering is simple. We're private premium spaces for anyone to be our guest, period. Now, we have three basically customer types. 82% of all of our guests are fitness professionals, trainers, coaches. We have a doctor of physical therapy in here right now. We have people, our wellness coaches, it's a much wider breadth. We have yogis, we have exercise physiologists, we have stretchologists. So I wanted a wider net to ideate and idealize spaces for people who are in the industry, again, who need like the right space, that have customized equipment and that model and some technology that allows them to run their own proprietary business. But we have clients or aspiring clients that call us up. My wife and I are actually just on some calls. We've got a lead funneling system. We have a first of a few things, but we invented something called Flex Connect. We partnered with the Gym Launch back in the day, and we use their platform uniquely. I knew that I was never going to employ trainers, right? We want to empower. But I was like, how do we provide leads, which is the number one need once they get in here, right? Once they get past, okay, you can help me with the logo, Steve, and we'll talk about that in a minute, and other things, and you have all the space. How do I get clients? We're not here to be their fitness manager, but I knew that if we could create a path or a conveyor belt of support, that we would accelerate the opportunity for people to fill our space, which is our number one KPI. Just how do we help people fill our space faster and for a longer duration? And so all of our problem solving goes into that. And so what we do is we have a lead funneling system. These people, they're asking about training. We do a very brief PARQ over the phone. We weed out the low intenders to the high intenders, and then we put them into a space. After a 9-minute conversation, we can actually accumulate enough data to partner them with the ideal candidate. So some people call it, that's match.com for fitness.
Yeah.
We call it Flex Connect. And then we put the aspiring client and the professional who we already have a relationship with. They're already here. We see that they're professional. They've communicated us their needs, their wants, their schedule, their availability, things like that. And then they have the ability to sign them up and make them their client. We take a small deposit if they do sign up, and then the trainer collects the rest. So there's no sharing, there's no 1099, there's no, you're not my employee, but I collect all this money and then pay you back, so you really are my employee. None of that. And it's great for the customer because they don't go through this arduous sales process. It really feels like this customized doctor's visit, match.com dating app kind of experience. We really try to hone in what are the individual needs of our guests, and we try to present the solution. And
Right.
that's a word that keeps permeating through the guest solution versus here's your access to a gym and hope it works out, and here's your class or your amenity choice. And then the third person is someone who's just looking for a private premium place to work out. That can be anyone from, and guys and girls, we just had a young woman who was in here. She's a little bit on the spectrum. She would never go into a big gym, open gym, big light. She loves coming in here. She's fun. She gives us all high fives, but she likes the individual aspect. She gets on Trainerize, uses her own app and works out to her own workouts as part of our technology suite that we can talk about. But we also have people who are traveling in and out of town, and they go, oh, FlexWork, I can book this like an Uber ride. I can book it on a Friday night. I can book it Saturday morning. They're not going to call me and waste my time with dues and membership deals and all this stuff. And I can get in and get out and have a really cool premium experience. We've got GMs and FMs of other brands coming in here and shooting content and having workouts because they don't want to work out in their own gym. It doesn't matter. So there's like a safety, privacy, efficiency, right? I got to get my space. It's always going to be clean. I'm ready to go for me. I can work out for 55 minutes, get in the private shower and get back to life and to work. And then sometimes it's the aesthetics of the studio quality lighting and space. So we have a couple of value propositions, but it's always down to one of those top 3 or 4. That's our 3 guests. Those are our customers right there.
Incredible. Absolutely incredible. What would you say as far as the acquisition side goes? What's more important for you and FlexWork? Is it going to be bringing in leads and clients to fill the spaces as far as trainers and coaches go, or are you looking more bringing in leads for the other side of the clientele? What are you focused on for lead generation to really?
That's a great question. So now we know, right? Again, this podcast was 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago. In the beginning, there would have been some guesses. Now we know.
Yeah.
And knowing is fantastic because now we can play that out to our franchisees and partners. But the answer is it's always recruiting and finding trainer coaches who are aspiring to be fitness professionals. And there's a discernment, there's a difference, right? They have an employee mentality still because that's their only option. And there's nothing wrong with that. I tell people all the time, I was someone's employee for 22 years. So that's all good. That's how I gained the credibility and the foresight and the skill set to be able to craft this and then support obviously our guests. So
Yeah.
there's nothing wrong with being an employee, but when you're ready to be your own boss, when you're ready to venture out, when you're ready to supplement your career and income, this doesn't even have to be a full-time thing. We have police officers that come in the morning and work out with other police officers, but they do it here, supplement their income, but also they don't want to work out with people they possibly put in prison or sneak in and out of gyms when they're like, hey, this doesn't feel right. We shouldn't be avoiding the general manager training on the side. Let's have some dignity here. But it's always going to be the exponential answer, which is the fitness professional. There was a fitness professional, I think at the beginning of the podcast, I don't know if we caught him. His name is
Yeah.
Pat Charette, one of our very first customers. He's been here 2.5 years. He services about 155, 156 hours a month consistently. He probably does 14 grand a month. And that's in Carmel, Indiana. That's a fantastic life and career. When he wants to go on vacation, he goes on vacation. He's representing his brand at his time, whenever he wants to do it, how he wants to do it. And so we love that. But he brings in his own clients. He retains his own clients. He wears his own uniform. We don't have to worry about his attitude. We don't, are you tired today? What's going on? Do you need time off? Like, he does it. We just make sure we've got plenty of caffeine in the front. His spaces are always clean, friendly, maintained. That's our brand promise. And that my pricing is always consistent. He says, as long as those things are stable for me, I can build a business off of that, Steve. So thank you. So it's
Absolutely.
always exponential. We find the Fit Pro that grows, that really bumps up our revenue incrementally. And it's almost like a software company on the back end. When people look at our investment pro forma, they go, oh, wow, okay. Because we really only need about 28 fitness professionals servicing 60 hours a month,
Yeah.
which is very part-time to meet profitability criteria for the average build out. That's it. We don't need to go 500 customers. So that's really important. And for people who are listening to this and thinking, oh, wow, okay, my market in Miami or Tampa or more aggressive Sacramento or Orange County or Dallas, I believe I can bring 30 fitness professionals doing that. Let's start thinking about that. The other ancillary things, though, are, okay, once those people are here, how do we expedite them gaining more traction? And that's part of the Flex Connect. So being able to help them connect to aspiring clientele, they'll close and retain, and off they go. So having that feeder system expedites that and increases their capacity for room reservation. We don't spend a lot of marketing, a lot of time on the individuals. We love them and that's great, but it's about 8% of our total guests. So it's not a lot. We could probably do better work on corporate partnerships and reaching out to individuals. But I think our real bread and butter and what our vision is really focused around making sure that people understand that this is a place where they can really have true careers in fitness. And that's not commonly said.
Absolutely incredible. Listen, Steve, I could sit here for hours and talk to you about this, the passion, the drive that you have. And it's clear as day, this idea is phenomenal. This is an incredible idea, and clear as day that there's going to be a domino effect with what you're doing here, and absolutely something that can be franchising. Putting this in hot states is going to be wow.
We can talk about that if you like.
We do have just a few more minutes. I want to hear some advice from you, but I would definitely love to hear that side and what you're doing.
Sure. Yeah.
And then a piece of advice to the listeners.
We sold the Indianapolis market to a local franchise group before our first location was open.
Wow.
They're one of our vendor partners, and they fell in love with what we were building and the passion. And then they ran their own pro forma and then talked to friends that were trainers or what, and everyone basically said the same thing.
Yeah.
Can't believe this exists. Totally makes sense. I would be a customer, which is great. The challenge, though, is we are in a market where it's challenging. It's very challenging in order to find enough saturation. The pros about cost benefits and no competition here and other things like that outweigh, but it's challenging. So getting into a secondary, even primary market, we're ready. We're 100% ready.
I love it. I love it. And then I just want to hear a piece of advice from you, Steve, for our listeners. An incredible journey, and what you're building here is truly fascinating. I know our listeners love the episode. What piece of advice can you give for them before we wrap up the show today?
It's going to be the same advice that my partner, who's based out of Tokyo, gave me. He was a backer of me, not the brand, and I'm grateful every day for that. But he said, Steve, your enthusiasm, your optimism, I know you're going to run through walls and this is great, but it's going to take longer and cost more than you think it's going to.
Yeah.
And so for the entrepreneur, it's about not running out of cash and enduring. Ultimately, I think that leads to more success than any other factor. And I can attest to that. And the last piece is, this is true to me. I don't know if it's true to other people, but you better have a super strong why behind your story and behind your venture. And if it's, I want to be rich one day and I want to fly in jets, good luck, because you're
Mm,
going to be missing payroll, you're going to be laying people off, or you're going to be missing deadlines. Your sales won't be as good as you think it is for a while. I don't care what it is. And if you don't have a strong enough why behind it, a strong enough belief in not only what you're doing, but yourself, you're going to crumble.
absolutely. Absolutely. Just incredible again having you on the show here, Steve. With that right there, that is going to wrap up another inspiring episode of Founders Future. And again, Steve, just truly thank you so much for coming on the show, sharing that incredible journey and insights with myself and the listeners. As I mentioned, just the passion, the drive, you could feel it through the conversation. And it was truly an honor and a pleasure to have you on. I'm so excited to see where you take FlexWerk, because I know there's some damage that can be done with this business model. It's incredible having you on again. And to our listeners, if you enjoyed this episode, which I know so many of you have, don't forget to subscribe to Founders Future wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. And also check out FlexWerk Fitness at flexworkfitness.com for your first hour free. And follow Steve on LinkedIn at linkedin.com/in/Steve Pirt. And for more resources and insights, you can visit us here at closers.io, where we're dedicated to helping businesses accelerate their growth. Until then, keep climbing, and we will see you on the next one.